of Kursky here in an office park. Now, hopefully some of you now and can create the geography of an office park. Have you ever thought about office parks, right? This one, for example, Interlochen Office Park in Broomfield, Front Range of Colorado. It's many, many square miles, 2 or 3 square miles, numerous acres. Now, the cons of office parks are as follows. You could get your geography or your environmental science students or even your business students thinking about the following. For example, office parks, a lot of them have a lot of open space, as this one does. It's got a couple lakes. It's got some trees, some plants. We can debate plants being brought into these places. Hopefully they're low water usage plants. In this case, we've got some which are actually native to the Front Range of Colorado, which is a good thing. We're not planting native species. Now, I personally think that going into these open spaces, they ought to be used, at least in part, they ought to be using fruit trees. That way, the fruit that can be grown on those can be distributed to community food banks and other people in need. Why not? There's a lot of needs out there, and this water is being used. Might as well grow some fruit-bearing trees, maybe some community gardens. But that's a subject for another video. But it's related to this office parks conversation that you can have with your. Another thing that you can bring up is that whole idea of why do we need office parks? Right, 100 years ago, right, most people in cities like this one did Boulder met factories. So you can talk about the information age and the consequential need, therefore, for office parks to do that kind of information management kind of business. They got a lot of tech. One I work makes GIS software, and there's others in here like that. But the point is that are in response to not just local forces, but global forces acting on economies. So you can scale. Another thing to talk about is whether these office parks are based on fossil fuels. In other words, people getting to them. Many of them are. Some of them, like this one, is a good thing. That's scheduled to come out here soon. We also have a large network of public buses. So that's good. We also have carpooling, rideshare, which is very active in Colorado. And we also have a fair number of people, not as much as Portland, North. We have a fair number of people that bicycle. Now, bicycling is sometimes a dangerous proposition. You got a high-speed highway right here, and you do have some bike lanes, a shoulder, but it's not like the Netherlands where you actually have a dedicated lane for bicycles. There is a fair amount of sustainable practices in this. The cons, right, of you are manicuring some of the landscape for human use. It's not strictly a natural area. Now, again, as I mentioned, some wetlands, it has some lakes, artificial, but still it provides habitat for birds and plants, as well as cooling, right? You've got that whole urban heat island that you could talk about with the students, and these lakes and wetlands help cool. They also help with flood control, so those lands absorb floodwaters and prevent it from being as high as it would have been if the whole thing had been paved. So there are some good things about office parks, but it is tied to economics. So you can see right here, there's a new building going in. And so in my way of thinking, it's, why do we keep needing to be building new things when we have a lot of vacant office space elsewhere in the community? So there's that whole tension there, which is classic geography, in my view, for why office parks can be incorporated as a discussion item as to why geography is actually relevant in 21st century. And that's what it's about, why geography actually matters and why it's important to education and society that we teach geography in multiple levels: primary, secondary, university, technical, and community college, and lifelong learning. Why it's actually relevant, why it's not just memorizing the capital of Peru or the exports of Indonesia, right? So these discussions like office parks are very important to have with students, I think. It helps them to think about local and regional and national and international forces, but it also helps think about their own role. What if they became a construction worker in one of these things? What do they need to be sensitive to? What if they became a city planner? What if they became a horticulturalist and have to decide what plants to plant at one of these things? So lots of career pathways. What if they became, as is probably the most common of all, a worker in one of these office parks? What would they be doing? How long would their commute be? What would be the ideal living situation? Would they want to be close by? Some of these have apartment buildings inside the park, inside the office park, to commute in. So all good reasons to discography of office parks with students. Thanks for being here with me, folks. I appreciate it. We'll see you online.